K-Mag is back. So yeah, after Haas sacked Mazepin on Saturday, they brought in Kevin Magnussen back into F1. So this is epic. I'm glad Haas finally, they finally have an experienced driver back on the grid. So what does this mean for Haas? But actually, before we get into that, let's explain it because it just happened. So Kevin Magnussen signs a multi-year deal to make a sensational return to Formula One with Haas in 2022. That's great. Multi-year deal, so that means he'll be here next year, hopefully. Hopefully he doesn't get sacked. But yeah, so he's back in 2022, and this is actually great because last year they just had rookies, brand new, fresh rookies, and they sacrificed 2021 for 2022. So, to finally have a experienced driver, like, this is actually good. Okay, this is actually good. Kevin Magnussen was actually better than Grosjean in F1 when he was in Haas. I think, he was actually better. So this is actually pretty good. They have an experienced driver, they have a rookie, and hopefully they have a better developed 2022 car. So yeah, let's go through what F1 says. So, alright, Gunther Steiner said, "I'm delighted to welcome Kevin Magnussen back to Haas F1 team. When looking for a driver who can bring value to the team, not to mention a wealth of Formula One experience. Kevin was a straightforward decision for us." This is actually good. So they finally have someone that's very experienced in Formula One. That right there is great for any F1 team. I mean, like, almost every F1 team has at least like one good experienced driver. So that's great. That is actually pretty good. And I mean, Magnussen was the better driver when he was in Haas along with Grosjean, so that's pretty good. So I think maybe Mick could learn some things from Kevin, and then he can improve as well, because like when you have someone like Magnussen who has that experience and then he's racing alongside a rookie, then the rookie wants to he's going to how would you say it? Maybe learn things from him and try to be on his level, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's pretty good. So Kevin was a key component in our previous successes, not least when we both scored our best finishes in Formula One back in 2018. He continued to show last year that he's an elite race car driver, adding wins and podiums to his resume. As a veteran presence in both the garage and the engineering room, he'll provide a solid benchmark for us with the ongoing development of the VF22. We're all looking forward to Kevin. We're all looking forward to welcoming Kevin back this week in Bahrain. So I thought it was going to be Fittipaldi, but they chose Kevin instead. I think Fittipaldi will run in Bahrain this week, I think for day 1 and 2, and then Kevin will run day 3. So that's actually pretty fine. Then afterwards Magnussen said, "I was obviously very surprised but equally very excited to receive the call from Haas F1 team. I was looking in a different direction regarding my commitments for 2022, but the opportunity to return to compete in Formula One and with a team I know extremely well was simply too appealing. I really have to say thank you to both Peugeot and Chip Ganassi Racing for releasing me promptly. Both are great organizations." So he was racing in IMSA back last year. He won one race in Detroit, and then he also had that deal with Peugeot to race in their sports car team. I think as well as for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And yeah, looks like they released him. That's fine. But also, I think the good thing about this deal now that I'm just realizing is that obviously Magnussen has been in Haas before, since 2017 until 2020. So he's going to be back with familiar faces, and this is great. So it's just going to be he's already used to the team already, so he can just go in the car and just perform his best. And yeah, that's it for this. In terms of like Haas, I think what this means for us, like I said, I think I'm repeating myself, but it just means they have an experienced driver on the grid instead of just two rookies, which is great because, like they said, they sacrificed 2021 for 2022 because it's new regs, clean sheet, new everything. So to have an experienced driver, that's actually pretty good. That's very well. So I think Haas can actually finally score a point since their first point since 2020. So I think they can finally score some points this time. Hopefully, if the 2022 car does perform well, they didn't get much testing time in Barcelona, so we don't know how that's gonna go. But either way, check it, man. I'm glad that Kevin is back in F1. So yeah, and let me know what you think about this, and yeah, peace.